Konnichiwa, Yokoso Tom's Hit Parade. Now, before I go any further, I need to fully disclose that this idea is shamelessly stolen from fellow YouTuber Vinyl Collector James. He's got a great channel, by the way. Check it out if you haven't yet. He's a lot of fun to listen to. Now, he had this on a short list of topics he was planning on doing in upcoming videos. But in the interest of benevolent trolling, I decided to beat him to it. Although I would have come up with this on my own anyway, eventually, I'm sure. But the subject at hand in this episode is Japanese CDs. And when I say Japanese CDs, I basically mean CD albums that were released in Japan by English language artists, mostly from the US and the UK. Now, in amongst my 2100 plus collection of CDs here, I have about 100 Japanese edition CDs. They're mostly current or recent artists, although I do have one or two classics. For instance, The Lovin' Spoonful, their first two albums on one CD. And this was at the local store, one of the local stores just a couple months ago. I picked it up and saw it there, and I just had to have it. You never know what gems of album tracks might be hidden in amongst their more popular singles. So had to pick that one up. And I don't know if this one is old enough to be considered a classic or not, but Small World by Huey Lewis and the News. You can see the Japanese text there. And this was only, what, $4 at a different local store. No bonus tracks on this one, but I had to pick it up. And also, the Stray Cats, their greatest hits, the best of Stray Cats, the Ultimate Selection. It's got 22 songs of theirs. The CD is a little beat up, but at least it had the Obi Strip here, which I'll talk about later for those of you who are not familiar with it. So anyway, yeah, there are basically three things that interest me anyway, and probably most others, when it comes to buying or collecting Japanese edition CDs. The first one is bonus tracks. And you might be wondering why the Japanese put bonus tracks on their CDs. And basically the reason is more and more Japanese consumers are buying the cheaper import CDs, like from Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia and so forth. So they're trying to entice back their domestic customers by including exclusive bonus tracks on their CDs. And as we all know, more music is better, right? A couple of the examples of bonus tracks are with Avicii's first album, True. As you might know, the American edition includes just 10 tracks, but the Japanese generously added five bonus tracks to the edition, the Japanese edition of True, including his early pre-album single, Levels, is on here. One of my other favorite artists, Mika, his fourth album, most recent album, No Place in Heaven. The standard edition had 11 tracks on it. There are 4 bonus tracks, which I believe are in the deluxe edition for most countries. But the Japanese, again, in their generosity, added an additional 3 tracks to give us a total of 18 tracks on the Japanese edition. And curiously enough, the 3 Japanese exclusive bonus tracks are all in French. I don't know why, but anyway. And also another one that follows pretty much that same pattern is the Kooks. Their most recent album, the most recent studio album, I believe, Listen. It has the regular and then the deluxe version, and then 3 bonus tracks from Japan exclusively for, again, a total of 18 songs. And also one of my sentimental favorite albums, Keen, their album Strangeland. And I'll explain why this is such a favorite of mine in a future podcast. Again, they had the same thing. There was a regular edition which I think had 11 or 12 songs. They added a few for the deluxe, and then again with Japan, they got a couple more. 17 tracks in total on the Japanese edition of Strangeland. Now, the second selling point for Japanese CDs, you may have heard me mention it a minute ago, is called the Obi Strip. And basically what it is the best way to think of it is an enlarged wraparound hype sticker that is not actually a sticker. It basically fits around the spine of the CD underneath the plastic cellophane wrapping, and basically it talks about it's for the people who it's for the Japanese consumers who don't understand English. Just telling them, first of all, it tells them the track listing of the CD in their native language, as well as just talks about the band, why they're, who the band is, why they're popular, a little bit of the history of the band, and so forth. So that's an interesting, it's always an interesting souvenir to have the Obi Strip. It's not critical for me, it's not a deal breaker, but about 10 of my 100 Japanese CDs do not have the Obi Strip. But it is a selling point for most people. It will drive up the value of Japanese CDs on the aftermarket. And the third selling point for me for Japanese CDs, and it might sound silly to some people, is the packaging. Now, with some CDs, the only place to get the title in an actual plastic jewel case is with a Japanese edition. And I've actually bought a few Japanese CDs specifically for this reason above all others. And there are a few here that I have that are that are in jewel cases that you won't find anywhere else, like DNCE, their debut album. And you can see the Obi Strip right here, as well as MGMT's debut. You've probably only ever seen this in the what I call the Digisleeve packaging, Digipack with no plastic tray inside it. So yeah, there's the Obi Strip right there, and yeah, it's always nice to have something that's unique and relatively hard to find. As well as now Keen's Strangeland album is kind of interesting. The standard edition was available in the States in a jewel case, but the deluxe edition with 3 extra tracks was only available in the Digisleeve. So the only place to get the deluxe edition, or I guess you'd call the Japanese one the super deluxe edition, I guess, in a jewel case, was in Japan. So, and another one that I got specifically for because it was in a jewel case is the Five Browns. Their third album, Browns in Blue. They are a classical, well, not strictly classical, but a piano group of 5 siblings from Utah, and you can see the Obi Strip there. And interestingly, one of the things I found out about, I don't know if this is true with all classical releases or not, but usually on the back of the jewel case, the track listing will be in English. But here, as you can see, get this right on the camera here, as you can see, it's all in Japanese. So fortunately, on the booklet inside, they have the English titles. And now I got this because, and the casing for the American edition it's kind of unique, but at the all the same, I didn't really care much for it. It's in, I don't know what this is called, a paper tray, eco tray maybe, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. It slides out, as you can see from the, like, it doesn't slide out all the way, it stops, and as you can see, this disc is on a tray inside. So but yeah, all the same, I'm not fond of the packaging where the CD slides against paper or cardboard every time you take it out, because obviously it can tend to scratch that way. So that's why I'm really fond of the jewel cases in the long run. Now, oh, speaking of jewel cases, this is very interesting. I am so glad this one was packaged well in transit and did not break at all, because I have never seen a case like this before, and so it would be impossible to replace, pretty much. I would have had to have jury-rigged the insert for a standard slim double CD case that we have commonly here in America. But yeah, as you can see, the front, you still have the peekaboo panel on the hinged side of the case, but as you can see when you open it up, disc 1, this is a 2-disc set, disc 1 is on a tray insert on the lid, you know, the lid side of it, and the booklet sits freely in the middle of the tray. And then, as with standard CDs, the second disc is on a tray on the back side, so to speak. So yeah, very unique case for this one. I'm kind of glad I've got it. And if you're not familiar with Jake Shimabukuro, he is an excellent ukulele artist. This is his 10th anniversary collection. Yeah, 2 discs, 41 songs from his studio albums from his first 10 years. Yeah, just a fantastic artist. But anyway, I had to show that one just to because of its uniqueness. Now, I will freely admit there are a couple of times I've bought Japanese CDs for no other reason than the fact that they are Japanese editions. They had no bonus tracks, and they came in a regular jewel case, just like the American version did. A couple of those, and this one was pretty inexpensive, so that's the reason I got this one. Rooster's first album. Yeah, again, no bonus tracks, but I had their second album, the Japanese edition of their second album, so I thought, okay, gotta have the Japanese edition of their first album, right? Sure. And also, same thing with Paolo Nutini. I had his first 2 albums in the Japanese versions, and I saw this one, his third album, Caustic Love, at one of the stores up in Portland. Japanese edition. It was sitting right there on the racks. You know, cost me $25, but hey, at least I could say I have a matching set, all Japanese editions, right? Okay, I'm weird that way. Now, this one kind of fits that category as well. No bonus tracks, and you know, jewel case packaging like in America. But this I just picked up yesterday, actually, at local store. Big Thing by Duran Duran. It is a 2-disc set, as you can see here. But don't get too excited. The second disc is just singles from their previous albums. It's 5 tracks. But just, you know, the coolness of having this unique, you know, 2-disc packaging. I actually replaced the jewel case so it's nice and shiny. The case it was in was really battered and messed up. But yeah, just the novelty of having a fairly rare Japanese edition of this, just I couldn't pass it up. Plus it was only $7. I mean, how can you beat that? But yeah, and I thought I would show you a few of the other unique Japanese imports that I have. Momentum by Jamie Cullum. As you can see, it is not in a jewel case, unfortunately. That's one of the things I passed up with the American version because it is in a jewel case, but this has it has 2 CDs plus a DVD, which is cool. I mean, a lot of bonus tracks on this one. I mean, that was the seller for me on this one, was the bonus tracks. And it had a nice huge wraparound Obi on it. So yeah, this is a cool addition to my collection. A big fan of Jamie Cullum. I love his stuff. And also found this at another store up in Portland. Song review by Stevie Wonder. I believe the standard American edition is 2 discs, but this one is only 1 disc, but it has a few songs on it that were not on the double disc American edition, so that's why I picked this one up. And again, it was, you know, it ran me a good $27, but it was new and sealed, and had the Obi. So yeah, never hurts to add a Japanese CD to your collection, even if it supposedly has disadvantages over the domestic edition. And I'm something of a Backstreet Boys fan, at least of their earlier work, and it was kind of cool to find out that both Howie and AJ put out solo albums not too long ago, and it just so happened that the easiest versions of these to find were the Japanese versions. So I picked these up, and I also have Nick Carter's full discography, I believe. He's got 3 studio albums, 2 of which I've got in the Japanese versions. And this one has a nice long story to it. Space Camp soundtrack by John Williams. It's a 1986 movie. I went to, I believe it was either a, I don't think it was a record convention. I think it was either a comic book or Star Trek convention locally in town shortly after we moved here in the mid-90s. And one of the sellers at the merchandise table had this. I believe the CD version of it was out of print. If there even was a CD version, I can't remember if in America they ever put it out on CD until the recent reissues. But yeah, it was very, very rare and hard to find at that point. And I I paid $75 for it. So, you know, yeah. But obviously it's probably worth a lot less now because there are other versions in print. And this one, again, does not have the Obi on it, but just the history of this was just, I had to have it. Good soundtrack, okay movie, I guess. But, you know, as I said, a sentimental favorite of mine from my childhood. Now there's an American folk pop, I guess you'd say, or folk rock artist. Her name is Madeleine Peru. And she put out a greatest hits album a few years back, and I believe the standard and deluxe versions are both available in the States, but I think they're both in the digitally versions. But this, the 2-disc deluxe edition, is, as you can see, in jewel case, the Japanese edition. So, and I just got into her a few years back, you know, maybe 5 years ago. I saw a profile of her on TV and just really appreciated her music. And then one more curiosity here is this is a compilation. As you can see, it's got a legally licensed photo of James Dean on the cover. It is a collection of 60s pop songs. Roy Orbison, the Everly Brothers, Del Shannon, Procol Harum, the Zombies, the Chordettes. It's an excellent collection. And again, I saw this, this was on eBay when I was buying a couple other Japanese CDs in order to take advantage of the discounted shipping cost. I saw this when it was, what, $3 or $4, so I decided to throw it into the pot, and it was an excellent mix. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the brief tour of my Japanese CD collection. Do you have any favorite Japanese releases? Mention them in the comments if you like. Like, share, subscribe. And again, thank you very much for watching, and remember, life is too short to be a music snob.